I'll never forget that time that I was fucking in middle school and I asked my art teacher if I could go to the nurse because my head hurt really bad. And he was like, no, you need to clean up because class is almost over. So I was like, okay. So I started cleaning, but like I started feeling like really bad. So I went up to him again and I was like, can I please like go to the nurse? Like I don't feel good. And he was like, it's almost lunchtime. You can wait. And I was like, okay. So I went back to my desk and all of a sudden I got dizzy as shit. The room started spinning. I felt like I was like about to die. Then my vision went blank, like completely black, but I could hear everything. And everyone was laughing at me. They're like, Zaria, what are you doing? Why do you look like that? And I tapped the girl next to me. I was like, can you walk me to the nurse? Like, I don't feel good. And she's like, you're joking. Like, you're not even being serious. And I was like, okay, I'll walk myself. So I started walking and I ran into a glass door and I fell backwards, hit my head, and then I went to the hospital.
So y'all, let me tell you about this conversation I had with one of my friends. I just couldn't believe it. Okay, so she came up with this really, really good idea. And I was like, yo, that's dope. You should do it. And she was like, I can't. I just looked on Instagram and saw that they already have that. I said, so why can't you do it? She was like, because it's already on Instagram. Somebody already did it. I said, okay, so why can't you do it? She said, because somebody already did it. I said, didn't Rihanna create Fenty like there wasn't MAC? Did she not create Savage Fenty like we didn't have Victoria's Secret and other lingerie stores? How many McDonald's and Burger Kings are across from each other like they don't sell the same food? How many beauty supplies is selling the same bundle on the same block? Okay, the market is oversaturated, but it don't have a you, baby. Like if God gave you the gift, your gift gonna pop differently from theirs. Everything you touch prospers. So if they did it first, it don't matter. Yours gonna be different because the market is missing a you. And she was like, oh, I never thought of it like that. Yeah, Rihanna wasn't thinking like that either. She just created because God gave her a gift. And now look, billionaire. You're sleeping on your dreams, kid. You're sleeping on your dreams.
This is why you should never go scuba diving in a big group. This is a picture of Tom and Eileen Lonergan, and on January 25th, 1998, they had no idea what was about to happen to them. They wanted the chance to scuba dive in the largest coral reef system in the world. So they set sail with 26 other people and went 25 miles away from the coast of Queensland, Australia, which was their original location. Tom and Eileen only thought they'd be going scuba diving for 40 minutes and they'd come back up and then they'd go back to their hotel. So after about 40 minutes, everybody boards the boat and they go back to Queensland. The next day, another group of divers go out to the same location and one of the divers found dive weights at the bottom of the ocean. They didn't think anything of it until they couldn't find Tom and Eileen. It had been 2 full days until anybody even noticed that they were gone. The people in the group with them just assumed they were out doing stuff or seeing Australia. People wanted to check on them to see if they were okay, so they went to the Lonergans' hotel room and sitting outside of their door was their luggage. And that is when everybody realized they left them behind because it had been 2 days and their luggage was untouched. Running out of time, but
one time I was behind the register at Victoria's Secret. This customer walks in and immediately everybody spots her as a red flag. She's just picking up items, throwing them in her bag, not looking at sizes, not looking at colors. So everybody's like, everyone's on their walkie like. Watch this customer. She's coming to the fitting room. She's headed to the cash wrap. Somebody get her. Check her ID. Get her. Get her. She has a bag full of stuff. And guess who gets her at the register? Me. So she comes to my register and she dumps out her stuff. And we're having a regular conversation. Hi, how are you? Yada, yada, yada. Her total comes up to probably between $700 to $900. It was expensive. My manager is at the register next to me talking to me on the walkie. Ashley, make sure you get that ID. Don't matter what she's using, make sure you get that ID. So I ask her for the ID because she's paying credit. Why do you need to ask for my ID? Just take it, run it. I'm like, no ma'am, I'm sorry, I need your ID for the purchase. She starts to raise her voice.
Story time of how I caught my teacher and my best friend doing the dirty. So everything was fine up until the middle of the year when she started acting really strange, and so did he. So at the time, I was 13 and she was 14. And I'm pretty sure my teacher was in his mid-20s or 30s. So basically, she's the type of girl who literally hates school and would do anything to get out of class. Then I noticed her getting early to class and not leaving until everybody else left. Then I started paying a little more attention, and he would always walk by her desk and slip her notes and candy and just weird stuff, and it was really, really strange to me. He also moved to her desk right next to his, which his was all the way in the back left corner of the classroom. He would also always make jokes with her, which I didn't really understand until I found out they were sleeping together. So on Friday, my mom messaged her parents asking if they could pick me up Monday because my parents were going out of town that weekend and I hated riding the bus. Well, I'm guessing she didn't know that I was going home with her Monday. So that Monday, I got into her mom's car and I asked her mom where she was. Her mom said that she was failing math and her math teacher offered to tutor her. This teacher was also brand new. I'm running out of time, so for part 2.
Be careful what you put in your body. In 2014, a couple returned to their home to find it trashed in baffling ways. There was lotion all over the door handles, all of their shoes had their soles ripped off of them, and someone had dumped an entire can of paint all over the toilet. Despite the obvious break-in, the police come and can't find any evidence of theft, so they leave thinking the couple's not in danger anymore. That night, the couple hears scratching underneath their bed and what sounds like a crying animal. Not wanting to find out what it was, they leave and call the cops, who come right back and start investigating the house, and they make a startling discovery in their bedroom. Wedged underneath the couple's bed was this 90-pound tiny little woman carrying a huge butcher's knife and a hypodermic needle. As they're taking this crazy lady away in handcuffs, one of the officers comes over to the couple and is like, so she was high on meth, and for at least 2 hours, she had been burrowing a hole in the underside of your mattress with that knife to get to you.
My future mother-in-law is the absolute worst person I've ever met in my life. I'm 30 years old and my boyfriend is 31 and we've been together for 8 months. He's the sweetest and most caring man I've ever met in my life, but the biggest surprise is when I met his mother. I'm a natural redhead, so when we sat down for dinner, she asked me if my parents had the same color hair. And then she proceeds to ask me, does the carpet match the drapes? I looked over to my boyfriend, who seemed equally as shocked, but he didn't say anything. And when I didn't respond back, she said, don't worry, I'll ask my son about it later. She then went on to attack my appearance and said my hair was too curly and I really needed to learn how to run a brush through my hair and think about my appearance more when I'm out with her son. And when I lost my appetite, she told me it was a good thing that I'm watching what I eat because it would be a shame if I got any bigger. This was my first meeting with this woman, and as soon as I got into my car, I burst into tears until I got home. I told my boyfriend I needed some time. He went into apology overload, and this started by sending me flowers to my office every day and leaving me messages. He said he spoke with his mom and promised this would never happen again. With this reassurance, I decided to give it another chance.
I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but every single piercing that I have on my body, except for my first earring hole, I've pierced myself. The ones on my ears, I legit used a pin that belonged to my mom's great-grandmother. But then everything else, I used piercing needles on Amazon. And in high school, I went through a phase where I would pierce all my friends' belly buttons, I would pierce my friends' ears, and the occasional nose. Ears and belly buttons were no big deal to me because I did a lot of those in high school. But when it came to noses, I only really did myself and like maybe a few other people. So when people asked me, can you pierce my nose, I would kind of feel a little bit uncomfortable. But you know what? I was still getting paid, so I was like, all right. One day, this girl asked me if I could pierce her nose, and I was like, yeah, sure, come over after school. So she comes over, and we're sitting in my living room, and I go to pierce her nose with the needle, and she starts gushing blood, like squirting blood everywhere, and she was wearing white jeans, and it got all over her jeans and ruined them. Come to find out, she was drinking the night before, but at least she left with her nose pierced.